Radhe Radhe. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Over to you, Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pallaviji. And thank you, Gayatriji Padmini, for a wonderful session. Radhe Radhe. A very warm good morning and good evening to all of you. And happy Karva Chauth once again to all of you. Hope you have found your moon today and broken your fast. If not, hope it comes sooner than later today. So let's get started. I'm going to get started by reciting, invoking the blessings of God and Guru, and then we will get started with our session today. So welcome again, everyone. Let me share my screen. Share sound. There you go. All right. So Radhe Radhe, let's get started with our opening prayers. Today we will continue on our discussion on Bhagavad Gita. As we have been doing, we will see an outstanding lecture from Swamiji to sum up the learnings that we have had, and then we will also go through some of the practical scenarios. We'll introduce a few more tools and also look at some practical scenario around the negativity, politics and stuff that we see around, right? How do we approach it? Is there some kind of a framework we can apply? We'll have a good discussion, maybe a working session kind of a deal today. So let's get started. I'm going to recite the prayers to get underway. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you once again. Let's get started. So, and by now, I think the shloka would be like the back of your hand. And if that is the case, this is good news. So let's do it for the last few times that we are going to do it. I'm going to recite it and then we can pick up a few participants to recite afterwards. Karmanyavadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phalheturvhu Ma te sangostva karmani. Okay, we can take few hands and then we'll get started.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh ji.
Radhe Radhe. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phalesu kadachana ma karma phalheturvhu ma te sangosva karmani.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe, thank you.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji.
Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalheturvhu ma te sangostva karmani. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful, very nice. Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can take few more hands.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalheturvhu ma te sangosva karmani.
Wonderful.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very, very nice. Let's take a couple of more hands.
Yes, Ashwina ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Veena ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Karmanyevadhikaraste मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूर्मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
Very nice, Aswina. Wonderful. Okay, we can take maybe 2 or 3 more hands and get started.
Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Surya Prakash ji.
कर्मण्ये वाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोष्ठ कर्मणि.
Very nice, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, let's pick up the remaining hands as well.
Sunita ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Let me open video. Okay.
Welcome
Radhe
back, Sunita ji.
Radhe. No, I'm always here, but I don't do my anyway. कर्मणेवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. Radhe Radhe.
Good to hear you, Sunita ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, thank you,
Chetan has
Sunita
raised
ji.
his hand as well.
Chetan
Chetan,
ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Okay, yes. Uday ji, go ahead.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुर्मा ते संगो कर्मणि.
You did it. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin ji.
Okay, we can cover the remaining hands as well.
Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Sumesh ji.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
Very nice, Sumesh ji. Radhe Radhe.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुर्मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. Radhe Radhe.
Chetan had raised his hand as well. Go ahead, Chetan. I know you raised your hand, so why don't you try it out?
Chetan ji, please raise your hand. Don't see. Chetan ji, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Chetan.
Yes.
You had raised your hand.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मे फले हेतुर्भो मा ते संगो सत्वकर्मणि.
Very nice, Chetan.
Radhe Radhe.
Well tried. There's another Chetan.
This is my second time.
Okay, good. You get the second debut award in that case. Wonderful. Let's take. We have 3 more hands, and we can get started after these 3 hands.
Ratna ji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Radhe Radhe. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
Very nice, Ratna ji. Okay, last 2 hands.
Yes, Prinal ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
Very nice, Prinal ji, and good to see you after a while.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Always a pleasure hearing you.
Thank
Radhe Radhe. Okay, last but not the least, Akshata ji, please go ahead.
Akshata ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुर्मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, very nice. Okay, we have Chetanji, another Chetanji is there, well, so please go ahead. And then we get started.
Chetanji,
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Nitinji. This is the first time I'm trying. Please don't mind. Yeah.
No worries, please go ahead.
Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbu ma te sangostva karmani.
That was very nice. You get a debut award in that case, Chetanji. Very
Thank
nice.
you so much.
Very nice. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Bangalore.
Bangalore. Okay, welcome to the session. Okay, so thank you. Let's get started. So the shloka Lord Krishna is telling Arjun, we have been going in great detail in this shloka for the past close to 2 weeks now. Today is no different, and we'll peel some more layers. So let's get started. The Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, nor be attached to inaction. Okay. So this is what we have been discussing. A quick recap, just so that these 4 principles are etched in your memory. Yeah. Do your duty, do not concern yourself about the results. The NATO principle, the fruits of your actions are not for your enjoyment. Even while working, give up the pride of doership and do not be attached to inaction. These are the 4 tenets of Karm Yog that we have been really going deeper into. Okay. Now today, before I get into that, so today is Karva Chauth, so happy Karva Chauth to all of you. Hope you're not starving and already had broken your fast. If not, then you're able to do that soon. It reminds me of a story of moon, right? Because everybody's waiting for moon today. Something similar happened in Treta also. Okay, so it is not a story of Karva Chauth, but when Lord Ram, along with his troop, soldiers, right? We know his Sena. They were resting outside Lanka. They were about to declare war on Ravan, but before that, they were resting outside Lanka. Just before the war, they were camping outside, and it was night. And it happens, right? When it is night, we settle around each other, do a bonfire, and have a good chit chat. And that is essentially what was happening around that time. So everybody was sitting and somebody posed a question, why does moon have a black spot in it? Because everybody started coming up with their creative answers. Moon has a black spot because, there's a bit of a poison which came out of Samudra Manthan, and somebody said moon is so beautiful, so his mother put a Kala Tika on him and all that stuff. Until Hanumanji gave an answer, okay, the most beautiful answer. He said, even moon has my Lord Shri Ram in his heart. And because Shri Ram is Shyam, we know, right? He's also Shyam. The only difference between Shri Ram and Krishna is the peacock feather, and he has Dhanushban, and he has flute, but the color is pretty much the same. So he said, even moon has my beloved Shri Ram in his heart, and that is why that Shyam color of black spot is coming there. So anyways, that was a bit of a trivia. Let's move on. So today we will start our session with a mind-blowing lecture, okay? It will blow your mind away. Hopefully it's going to revise the concepts that we've been discussing. And also we are going to talk about how to deal with office politics. And when you can say politics in general, it could be office, it could be anywhere else. Being human is being political. I don't know, it's a pretty interesting code. But wherever you find that kind of a scenario and you feel wronged, or it makes you, experience some kind of a twitch in your heart, we'll try to see how we can tackle it and hopefully apply some of those learnings there as well. But before that, let's look at a video. Let me know if you're able to hear the sound, and then I will move it to a spot where. Are you able to hear the sound?
People ask that if we become spiritual Swamiji,
prescribed duties.
Great. Okay, let's
so here Sri Krishna says, Arjun, to go towards God, you will not have to stop working. you will have to change your attitude towards work. That is all that is required. A change of the attitude. Arjun was a warrior before he heard the Bhagavad Gita. After he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he was still a warrior. He was still fighting. What was the difference that came about? Not the work was just the same. The difference was in his consciousness, his attitude towards that work. Earlier he was looking upon this war as an opportunity to take vengeance upon Duryodhan and win back the throne of Hastinapur. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he is detached. Doesn't matter, many kings came and went. It's not going to lead anywhere. But I have to do my duty. And let me do it as a service to God. The internal attitude changed. So, it's often a misnomer. People ask that if we become spiritual, Swamiji, then will we also have to give up our work? Do we have to become a Swamiji like yourself? You know, very often when I give lectures, people, they immediately come. So, if I believe what you're saying, will I have to give up my work? No, that's not what the Gita is all about. The Gita is not teaching us to give up work. It's teaching us how to change our attitude to the work, the consciousness we bring to it. Once I was reading the statements of a Zen master. So Zen is all about attitude. It's a dry kind of philosophy. So he was asked, what did you used to do before you became a Zen master? He said that I used to cut the wood and I used to fill the water from the river and carry it out here. Now that you have become enlightened, what do you do? He says, I cut the wood and I fill the water and I carry it out here. What is the difference? The difference is earlier I was doing it without awareness. Now I am doing it with complete awareness. Again a change of attitude. But here, in Karm Yoga, we add devotion to it. I am doing this for the pleasure of God. See, one temple is being built in Vrindavan, and workers have come all the way from different states, from Bihar and from Bengal, etc. And they're working, sweating it out in the sun. You ask them, why are you working? I'll get money at the end of the day. That is one consciousness. Another, why are you working? Oh, this is very satisfying for me. It gives me great pleasure. And there have been such sadhus. Temple was made, the sadhus would come and work as laborers out there. Why? Oh, this is the work of God. Let me dedicate myself to it. So, working out there, the activity is the same. But the consciousness has changed so much. So, Karma Yoga involves a change of consciousness. Towards what? Towards the fruit of our work. We are working in material consciousness for the fruit. That I will get the fruit of my work for my enjoyment. It will make me happy. I will get this, prestige, money, comfort, whatever. So the goal is our attachment to the fruit. Now you change that. The fruit is not for me. Then the fruit is for the pleasure of God. Just bring this one change. So you're still working, but for His pleasure. The work continues. The consciousness has changed. Chhatrapati Shivaji, his guru was Samarth Ram Das. Samarth Ram Das was a sannyasi, very scholarly. He has written the Das Bodh in Marathi. So Chhatrapati Shivaji was once sitting in his palace and Samarth Ram Das was walking in the street of his capital with a begging bowl. Bhiksham Dehi, Bhiksham Dehi. Chhatrapati Shivaji thought that this is absolutely incorrect. I am the king, my guru goes around begging. This is not the way it should be. What to give him these few rupees? Let me give him everything. So he wrote on a piece of paper, I offer my entire kingdom and everything in it to you. And he went and put that slip of paper in Guruji's begging bowl. Guruji looked at it and he read the note, I offer everything to you. And he smiled. He said, my son, I am a sannyasi. What will I do with the kingdom? I don't have the time to administer it. And I don't have the interest either. I am not begging because I need it. I am begging because it gives me the opportunity to meet people, to talk to them about God, to engage them in seva. That is why I am doing it. In other words, detached. Now you have given me the whole kingdom. All right, no problem, I am accepting it. But henceforth, you rule this kingdom for me. Rule it in this consciousness that this is not mine, it's my Guruji's. I am just ruling here as a king, as a service to him. So Chhatrapati Shivaji's entire consciousness changed. He was still ruling, but he was doing it as a service to his Guru. So I remember, there was this Chanakya Pandit. There used to be a serial that used to come, Chanakya, many, many years ago. So Chandragupta asks Chanakya in that according to the Vedic philosophy, what is the position of a king? What is the status of a king according to the Vedic philosophy? So Chanakya immediately answers, the king is nothing but the servant of his people. That is God consciousness. I am not the enjoyer, I am the servant. Why? Because I am a tiny part of God. My job is to serve God. So I will keep doing my work because that's my nature. If you are by nature a warrior, you will keep doing your work. But you will start doing it for the pleasure of God. So that service attitude naturally creeps up. There's nothing higher than service. The Vedas say that is your constitutional position. You are a tiny part of God. Your constitutional position is to serve God. And your work is a means, a medium of serving Him. So the fruit of that work is not for your pleasure, it is for God. So you, Arjun, are entitled. Karmanne vadhikaraste. You have the adhikar to do your work. Nobody will take it away from you. Ma phaleshu, not the fruits. They are for God. So whether they are good or bad, don't bother. Did you put in your best effort? I did. Fine, good enough. That's all your duty is. You put in your best effort, bas. The results are for God, right? So let them be however they are. That is the test. If poor fruits, we become depressed, then we are attached to the fruits for our sake. And if it doesn't make a difference to us, then we are detached. So the fruits in any case are not in our hands. The fruits of your actions are not in your hands. One person works hard all his life, chasing the great American dream. What to speak of becoming a millionaire? He finds it difficult to make two ends meet. And one person has just landed up from another country and he's settled and adjusted his visa status, and immediately his business starts booming. How did it happen? Was this fellow very intelligent? No, he was ordinary. There's so many factors involved in the results. Not only your effort, your past karmas, your destiny, the situation at hand, the karmas of others prevalent in that society, matter of circumstance, the place where you are in, and sheer luck. All these factors count in determining the result. That's why one student works 14 hours a day and still cannot make it to those Ivy League colleges. The other doesn't do anything and still he sails along. So, Arjun, the results cannot be determined by you. Be prepared. No matter if you put in your best efforts, you may get bad results. But if your philosophy is that the results were for the pleasure of God, then you will be elated. God wanted this. Never mind. If this is the will of God, all right, let me be happy in it. So with this philosophy, immediately releases us from all kinds of tension while yet putting in our best efforts. So that is called NATO, not the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Then not attached to the outcome. Not attached to the outcome. You see, each time a person is playing golf, it is always the outcome which is in the mind. What is the score? What is the score? What is the score? Now, he is not enjoying that shot as much because the mind is always up there in the future. Now, just forget about the score. Just focus on enjoying that shot and playing it to the best of your ability. When you forget about the score and just focus on that one shot, you will have the most enjoyable game of golf in your life. Because you use this, not attached to the outcome. So Shri Krishna says, Ma phaleshu kadachana. And ma karma phalahe turbhur. Don't think that you are the doer. Develop this mentality. God helped me along. He gave me the energy. Others helped along. In other words, don't develop the pride of doing anything. So when you start thinking, he is the source, I am just the instrument, that pride of doing will also go. So in multiple ways, this verse is applicable and beneficial to all who are working in the world. This is like a sure shot way of reducing stress. So further now Shri Krishna is going to elaborate on Karma Yoga, and then he's going to talk about enlightenment and the diseases of the mind. All these will come along as we wind up this chapter. And
all right. So hope that was a good recap of the concepts that we have been discussing for the past couple of weeks. And let's move on to the practical aspect of it.
See,
yesterday we did introduce the tools. We're going to talk about 2 more tools today. And then we get into the case study. How do we deal with the political stuff that we have to deal with, you know, in our lives, dealing with people around, situations at office, relationships, and whatnot. So let's look at the tools. We introduced 5 tools. The 6th one is practice humility. Right? Swamiji spoke about that. Not developing a pride. Right? And what is this humility? That it's only through God's grace and energy, the inspiration that we get, we are enabled to get something great, good done. Even when we help somebody, it's only that God has given us that inspiration. Inspiration is God choosing to meet himself, and coincidence is God choosing to remain anonymous. Okay. So God, it's only through his energy and his inspiration, anything for that matter gets done. Big talented people come, right? They become billionaires. They are success stories in their respective fields. It is nothing but a spark of God's splendor manifesting through them. So that is the attitude we need to have. Right? We seem from a distance, Swami says, right, the mountain, and you look pretty much of the same height. But as you start getting closer to the mountain, you understand how magnificent, how tall. So that is the more we start to understand about God, the humility is a natural consequence of it. In fact, humility, we have made it out to be a virtue. Humility is simply accepting who you are. Right? We are a dot within a dot within a dot. This entire galaxy, this entire universe, our universe, 4-headed Brahma's universe, which we know even 0.00001% of it. Even if that entire universe is wiped off, in grand scheme of things, it will not even result in a rounding off error. That is how vast this creation is. So that is the universe. Within that, we have our solar system. Within that solar system, our Earth. Within that Earth, our country, then our city, then our town, and then our personality. How insignificant we are. There's no reason for us to be proud about anything, if you think about it. Humility is a natural. Right? Shishtastakam says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, very nice in the 4th sutra, basically, he says, Trinadapi sunichen tarorapi saeshnuna amanena manedena kirtaniya sadahari. So he said, become more humbler than a blade of grass. Blade of grass doesn't mind even if you stamp over it. So that is another aspect. Now the test of humility is, he said, if these symptoms, are you having a sense of doership? Yes, I did it. That's your pride talking. Another example of pride is, it's a very interesting one. When you see others' faults, when you see somebody else's fault, that means it's your pride talking, because you are already presupposing that you are better than them. Okay, so if you ever get to see others' faults, that means it's your pride talking. That's another example, Swamiji. It's very powerful. And then, are you massaging your ego every time you end up accomplishing something great or good? Right? When we help somebody or when we do something, there's a tendency, unless we have mindfully, consciously worked on it, silently clapping on your back. You know what? How great I am. You know what? I did that. So that is a thing which basically builds pride in us and takes us away from humility. And if there is one thing that God eats, that is pride of humans. His job is to bring somebody who's up down, and somebody who thinks himself to be down, uplift them. That is the job, one of the many job description of God. He doesn't like pride. And pride is an aspect that keeps us away from God, hidden. God remains hidden. So this is another tool to practice humility, regardless of what situation we are in. Especially when we are in a position of strength, when we are in a position when good things are getting done, right? You could be famous, wealthy, with a lot of power, and that at that time, if you can practice it consciously with the proper knowledge and understanding, not just on the exterior, but from internally as well, then it is a great tool to have. And God, it is a foundation actually. It is said that Deen Bhav, humility, it's the stepping stone basically to build that castle of devotion on top of it. And the next one is, let's look at it. Swamiji brought that part. Did it say practice humility? Okay, something happened. It was actually proprietorship. But anyways, not having a sense of proprietorship, I'll just talk through that. Now, proprietorship is something when we think about my house, my car, my family, my wife, my this, my that. Anything and everything can be snatched away in a moment. Nothing is mine. We are basically the trustees, like Shivaji example, Samartha, since his guru, how he said that you continue to rule, but rule it as a trustee, not as an owner. So that attitude is a great attitude to have in life. We are simply the trustees of things around us, not the owners of it. And we have a sense of ownership towards our family members, relatives, kids. They come through you, not from you, right? Even the kids. And even the things that are bestowed to us, house, the bank balance, the car, and designation, position, everything can be snatched away in a jiffy without we realizing it. So relinquishing or giving up or forsaking that sense of proprietorship, that this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Unnecessary worrying. What will happen to kids when we go away? Giving them security and all that stuff is good. Good planning is one aspect of it. But when we go overboard, that is again violating the principle of having sense of proprietorship, because God is the ultimate father and the caretaker. We forget that principle and we think we are the proprietor of this particular thing. God laughs when the two kids, they fight over a piece of land. This is mine, right? Who's this basically? So many family disputes happens, right? We know that. So sense of proprietorship, I think some slide went missing here. But nevertheless, let's move on now to the topic of discussion that we are going to do today. And okay, now I think it is how to deal with office politics and negativity. I think that was one of the questions, and this is one of the struggle points or pain points for a lot of people. We'll try to have a working session, think through. Let's all think through and embellish on this framework and see how we can apply some of these learnings as well. Okay, so let's get started on this. Now, you're splitting your hair, right? Something is going on in your office which you're not liking, right? Now, that situation is, of course, not palatable to you, and that's why you are feeling some kind of a distress or a misery around it. Yeah. Now, the thumb rule, heuristic, simple. First, do I really have to deal with it? I think that will be the most fundamental question. Do you really have to deal with it? Answer may be yes or no. Maybe, right? So let's look at the scenarios, play out the scenarios here. No, you don't have to deal with it. You have 10 offers lying there on your table. People are thronging. Okay, come over, rolling a red carpet out to you. Or you just decide, okay, I'm going to follow my passion and I don't care for it anymore. Okay. Office Space, there's a movie, very interesting cult movie. In this guy, he's had enough of his boss. So one day he turns up to office and he's just playing his own games, and his boss comes and looks at him and he's careless. I mean, he's like, I don't care what you think. And then he says, it's not that I don't care. It's not, no, he says, it's not that I don't want to work anymore. It's just that I don't care anymore. So basically, he had an option to quit. Okay? He didn't care basically. So yes, you can quit and move on. That is an easy option, especially if you have it. Not everybody has it. Then what happens? Now you have to deal with it. Okay. Can you do something about it? That's the next question. Can you do something about it? Now, if you do, can you do something about it? And the question is, do I really want to do something about it? Just because you have an ability to do, it's not that you really want to do something about it, right? It may not be worth the hassle. You have to, if you have to take on the establishment and things, some people say, all right, maybe not. But let's say, yes, the answer is, you really want to do something, then do it and make peace with it. As simple as that, right? So if you look at it, here we are doing a thing. So in anything, you have three choices. I'm just building it, okay? This is not the end of the story, so don't get disheartened. There are many nuances to it. So do it. Right? It's like either quit the system, change the system, or learn to live with the system. And do it, but make peace with it. Okay, after that, if you're still complaining, I did it, and then this, no, you made a choice, and we have to, live with it, because acceptance, Lord Krishna is telling us, right? Have acceptance around it. The second part, interesting part, is I'm just throwing that out. If you quit and moved on, there is a possibility that if there was a lesson in that situation and you skipped it, what happens then? I don't know. I don't know what the plan of God is. Maybe there is a lesson and that situation came. Possible. May be possible, may not be possible. I don't know. It's very contextual. Some people have this story, right? They leave a boss and then they said, okay, same kind of a boss, or even worse, they leave a neighborhood and then they end up in a neighborhood. It's even more worse. So the same situation keeps on repeating with them, right? You said it's my luck, sheer bad luck, Why is it that I run with all the wrong bosses or wrong people in life? That seems to be a pattern in their life. Okay. Now, if that is happening, maybe there was a lesson that you skipped, took an easy way out. Okay. It's very contextual. That could be a scenario as well. All right. Nevertheless, let's move on. Now, repeating this same situation, do you really have to deal with it? Yes, you have to deal with it. Okay, so you went to the desk. Can I do something about it? Now the answer is no. You cannot do anything about it. Okay, now the plot is thickened. Previously, you could do something about it. See, people, I hear that every second day these days, Infosys has become a company of, everybody sues this. Maybe there's a precedent that is said. You could become a whistleblower. You can reach out to HR, say, my boss is harassing me, or the environment is hostile. So many things you can do within a setup, right? Or in some kind of a relationship also, you may confront that person. Say, hey, let's sit down and talk like adults. It is not doing what you are doing. Maybe that's an option for you. But let's say you can't do anything about it. Then there's a saying in English, what you can't cure, just endure. Now, it's easier said than done. What you can't cure, just endure. Okay. Now, how would you endure? It's the big question. How would you endure? Right? You say you can endure, but that is here the whole game starts. And the quit move aspect we have already spoken about. We have already discussed this concept that yes, that option might be available to you to quit or move on in life and do something else. But if you had chickened out and there was a lesson that you were supposed to learn as part of that, that might repeat. There is no guarantee that you will find a good boss or a better environment or that perfect utopian world that you are thinking about. It may even be more worse in the next situation. Okay, so that thing is always there. But let's talk about endure. You are just stuck. You can't change anything. You can't quit and you are stuck. What do I do now? Okay. Let's get into that. Navigate. Now, what does this navigate mean? And how can you navigate? I don't know. It's very contextual. But I had to put together some kind of a framework. And that's where Bhagavad Gita learnings that we are having would come in handy. Let's look at the scenario here. We'll try to break it down into some fundamental pieces. What is bothering me? Right? It's a very fundamental question. You want to endure it, but let's step back and say what is bothering me to begin with. Right? The second fundamental question around this is, why is it bothering me? Are you able to see my screen? Okay, give me a sec. My screen has frozen, so something is not happening the way I want. It starts happening when you least expect it. Okay, now it's fine. Now, why is it bothering me? That is another fundamental question. Let's try to tackle this to begin with. Okay, it could be my boss' attitude or the person's attitude towards you, hostile, negative. The work culture itself, the culture itself is not palatable. The peers' attitude, the people that you work with, they are not very hospitable to you. Or there's a lack of enthusiasm for work itself. It's not something which falls in your LA or something that drives you, right? Then why is it bothering you? The first fundamental question around that is, what is the underlying attachment? If it is bothering you, there is an attachment. It cannot bother you unless you have an attachment, some form of attachment around it. It could be self-esteem, expectation of reward, solidifying your position in your company, visibility, could be anything. I'm just saying there is some kind of an expectation which are not being met, and that is why you are getting bothered about it. Now, what do we do basically? Let's look at it. How can I take control over it? Let's look at some of the questions here as well. Is the situation really bad as my mind is perceiving it to be? Okay, we need to really ask. My boss is hostile, my peers are hostile, that means that I have a job, right? If you frame it positively, is it the situation really as bad as you are making it out to be, as if the hell is going to break loose? Can I positively reframe the situation? Right? There is a story that there was a guy, he said, this has been 2022 has been the worst year of my life. Why? Because I retired. My job, I used to keep busy, and now I've retired. Then my son had an accident. He wrote on the piece of paper, this has been the worst year of my life. I retired. My son had a terrible accident, broke his leg. And then my father expired. He wrote that on a piece of paper. So his wife comes and looks at him, and she simply says, you know what? I retired. Now I have all the time for the things I wanted to do. Our son had an accident, but thank God, only his leg was broken. His life was spared. And my father, my father-in-law, he expired. He was anyway in a terrible pain, right? Because of his old age and other sufferings that he was having. Now he has moved on to a better life, maybe God. It was a mercy of God. Just tweak in the mindset around the same situation. So the positive reframing aspect is always there. I have to clean up my house, after people leave. That means at least I have friends. My boss yells at me. That means I have a job. I have to pay taxes. That means you have a job. Not everybody has a fortune of being able to pay taxes, right? So the positive reframing aspect of the situation that you are in, there's a possibility if we exercise that. Now, can I make my work and work ethic talk for me and make it work in my favor? If you are good and really good, people will tolerate you. Or you can still carve out a niche. I've seen that. We used to have a guy, he was so good. He was terrible in his behavior. Nobody would like to work with him, but he became so indispensable just because he was too good at his work. So maybe there's something that you can do about your work and work ethic and build your brand. Maybe you feel vulnerable because you are weak in what you do. Maybe that's an occasion for you to build domain expertise or get better at what you do. That's why people respect you for your work. They have no choice but to respect you. That is a situation that is possible as well. Is there an opportunity to upskill myself, interpersonal skills, and soar higher? Right? When eagle comes in and the crows start biting, it doesn't pick up fight with everybody. It simply soars high. There could be an opportunity where you might pick up some higher skills. I'll tell you from my personal experience, my worst phase in my career, when I ended up at a place and with some kind of a superior, which was like a terrible experience for me. In hindsight, when I look back at it, that was the most rewarding and learning and inflection point in my life. Why? Because he did not inspire me. When I used to look up at him, there was nothing there which could inspire me. So I was not clear about what I wanted to do in life, but it made me very clear about what I didn't want to do. That is also a good situation to be in. And I decided, you know what? One thing is I continue to crib here and continue to put up with it. Second thing is I should look at alternatives, how to upskill myself, do my masters, get out of this rut basically. Okay, that gave me such a strong motivation. It was not a pull from the B school. It was a push from what I was doing. Okay, so the things that we choose to do and the things that we don't choose to do, right, equally, they matter both. In that case, it was more of a push because I was so disappointed. No, at that moment, it was a very horrible experience. What am I stuck? What am I doing? Kind of. But in hindsight, when I look back, the grind that I went through in that experience is helping me even now in my life, because you understand certain way of operating, how to navigate difficult people or tricky situations in life, and because of which I did my master's and it changed the trajectory of my life. Maybe the fact that I'm sitting here today and doing presentations and talking the way I'm able to now, I owe it to that person only, because that helped me change so many things in my life. Okay. And I used to be a nervous wreck when it used to come to presentations. I would escape, run away whenever an opportunity would come. And now this is one of the things I look forward to, because I thought, this is my weak point. I cannot continue to live my life in this perpetual fear that I may have to speak in front of somebody or present something to somebody. That used to be a fear at the back of my mind. But with God's grace, things started working out, because I was really wanted to work out, out of that situation. And with God's grace, it happened. So that situation was bad, but it actually helped in shaping the trajectory. So there is an opportunity in every situation that we are in. And is the compromise that we are doing. In some cases where you're saying, okay, I may have to compromise something. Is it within your tolerable limits? Maybe it's such a, something to exercise tolerance, or think the situation may pass away. It might be a temporary phenomenon itself. And a lot of people, they make decisions in impulse and in haste, and they forfeit big opportunities in life just because they are impulsive and upset and mad. So we don't know. It's very contextual. And last but not the least, so what? Okay, worst scenario, let's say you are stuck with a boss or in a situation or with a set of people, and it is a recession and all that stuff is there. So what? Let's accept the worst. What will happen? You still have an able body, hand, brain. If you have accepted the worst in that situation, then your current situation is already a bonus. You have already soared above that, right? So all these possibilities are available. So if you look at it, for each one of these, you can apply the tools of Karm Yoga that we are talking about. First of all, your stress and the situation that you are whining about is born out of attachment. Lord Krishna is giving you the very first principle. Don't think about outcome. Focus on the process. You're not competing with anybody else, but with yourself, right? And everything, when you think it is for the pleasure of God and you have started building that consciousness, then the only thing that you will be focused on is how do I become a better version of myself? Nothing else would matter. Everything else will start becoming a background noise. And until that we reach that stage, obviously it's a very elevated, advanced stage. There's still an opportunity. There's a silver lining in that situation also, where you could upgrade your skills. You could take it head on, say, I'm going to improve. I'm going to learn the skills, how to deal with them. Or take that situation and positively reframe it. At least I'm having a job. How many people would simply die for trading off the job that I have? Arthur Ashe, I spoke about him as well, right? He was diagnosed with AIDS, and he was terminally ill. And when he was asked that, how do you feel about your current situation? He said, how many people, Black or Afro-Americans in America, get an opportunity to play tennis, and out of them, how many are able to play competitive tennis, and out of them, how many can represent their country in a Grand Slam, and out of them, how many can make it to the finals, and out of them, how many can actually win it. So when I have achieved all of that, I have no reason to complain. Okay, I feel perfectly. God has been merciful to me. So when we don't complain when things are going well for us, we should not even look at complaining when things may not go as well as we expect. Okay, so this was just a framework. I wanted to open it up to see if people wanted to add on to something, Karm Yoga concept, or I can map it one by one, but I'm sure you can do it all by yourself. But is there anything that you think is not covered or very unique that is not covered as part of this framework that we can embellish this framework with? I'll open it up now. I've been talking a lot today. Pin drop silence.
Awesome session, Nitinji. People are taking time to process. There's so much nuggets in the session.
No worries, that's good.
I see a couple of hand raised.
Let's make quick announcements and then we can take those hands.
Yes.
I know Diwali and a few things you may want to announce it. Let's announce that and then we will continue with this discussion.
Yes,
I see 3 hands, so we'll take them and continue with our discussion.
Thank you so much, Nitinji. I'll just make some quick announcements. Definitely the first one is about Swamiji's India tour, which is going on. The first one has already started. It's in Banara October 13 through 16, 2022. So it is already, some people are already attending. The next is in November at Puri, November 18 to 22. And in December 25 to 31st, it's in Banara again. I have posted the link in the chat for registration and details of the events. The next event is about the RKT Youth Club. The energy of today becomes the power of country tomorrow. So this is, the classes are beginning for youth, for career exploration, leadership, communication, and all to enhance and expand their abilities on these topics. And there is a free open house on Sunday. There is the link for this as well. It's on October 16, and I have posted the link in the chat as well. So today Karwa Chauth Puja is going on in the RKT Temple, Dallas. I'm sure it must be great fun. And upcoming event is Diwali, the big event. Please join JK Yog and RKT Temple of Dallas in celebrating the most awaited festival of the year, Diwali, lighting 11,111 lamps of goodwill. And there's a lot more. JK Yog Grand Global Diwali Fest is going to happen. So there are a lot of fun, exciting events going to come, and we'll keep posting more information on that. This is starting from October 21st, Friday, to October 25th. I have posted the link in the chat.
Okay. Thank you, Pallaviji.
Yes.
So a couple of things. One, I like this saying, which says that something that bothers you is the lesson for you. Okay. And second is, if some situation continues to repeat with you and there's a pattern to it, that means that is a sure shot sign that there's a lesson in it for you. That means we are failing that lesson, and that is why it is repeating. Okay. I see some pictures, maybe for the moon. All right, go ahead. I can see 3 more hands. So let's please go ahead. Shri Ramyaji.
Yes, Shri Ramyaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, Radhe Radhe all. It's like very forward, but I wanted to include another small point, and this is also something which I learned from you only in the past sessions. So one thing is, we should not play it repeatedly in our head. This is something which you have told multiple times in many sessions, but I feel same thing applies to the office politics also. Like, yeah, if something bad has happened, it's like, it's okay, it's done and it's done. I don't play it again and again in my head. That's what makes things worse. Things worse. Instead, I focus on what can be done from my side. How, if something is wrong on my end, how can it be corrected? Or even if there is nothing wrong on my end, is there something good I can do about? And today, from this sanitary celebrations, I was listening to Maharajji's speech. There also, he told that you always have Hari Guru in your mind. And I feel that when I'm thinking about Hari and Guru, other things, they just fade out. So maybe in such aspects wherein we can't do anything about it, it's still hurting us, we can try to see how we can bring Hari and Guru in our mind. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful point. Yes, very true. If we keep that with us, obviously it will give us more clarity, resilience, and a lot of things that bother us, small things, will just become a background noise. You would really not care about that. But it could be an opportunity to, upskill ourselves, navigate it, and come out stronger and better, right? And you could raise your game even further. There are so many opportunities around, even material opportunities around it. That is a very, advanced spiritual concept. If you can do it, of course, you will not even bother about all these things. But even if you have not reached that level, even from a material standpoint, it's a huge opportunity, right? If you looked at Stanford's speech of Steve Jobs, he said the best thing that happened to him was him getting fired from his own company. So he floated Apple, and after a while, he was fired from his own company. It was a public shaming of Steve Jobs. But he said, in hindsight, this was the best thing that happened. Why? Because it fueled the innovation in him, And then he came up with Pixar, which Google went on to, not Google, but Apple went on to acquire. And then finally he came back as a CEO again. But at that moment, it was a very heartbreaking exit. He got fired from his own company. Right? But at that moment, it may feel so, but look at the opportunity it presented him. So all of us have that. There is a silver lining in everything. And sometimes it's God's design to shake us out of our comfort zone because we become so complacent. So every situation is an opportunity actually for inner growth or even material growth, if you actually think about it. At least when I think back about some of the little experiences I've had in my life, the failures, the dejections, or the low points of my life, they are the ones where I've learned the most, and they're helping me now in in whatever way those experiences. That is how it goes. Okay, let's pick up a couple of more hands.
Yes, Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, everyone. Pallavi Jay Nitin ji. So I had a situation in my hospital where there was a shortage of faculty, and one of the faculty got deputed to another hospital, a higher center for learning more against the rule, what I can say. But when she came and told me that she got a deputation, so I said, very fine. You are the blessed one to get more knowledge and more head. I didn't have an intention to stop her. But when the other faculty members had a meeting and they said we had to stop this deputation, relieving her, I said no first initially, but they forced me to do. Then I also signed on that. So as this girl was very close to me, she was very angry on me and she just stopped talking me. So that's how it ended, breaking up our friendship. So is that right, which I did, or it is wrong, still I have a doubt on that, my decision, which ended up by losing my friend. But my intention was that actually.
I think intention matters. We can talk more offline. I would like to understand some more nuances. Maybe, I don't know, it's very contextual. These kind of things, gray areas, Swamiji only can answer, but we can give it a shot, trying to analyze it. The situation you are in, what you could have done best, what was your intention behind, what was within your control, and what is it that you could have possibly done right. So I think it's a little more nuanced conversation. So maybe we can have an offline conversation and then bring it back to the session, the learnings that we can get.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi ji.
Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe.
Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, Namaskaram.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Namaskaram to all of you. Indeed, I was listening to all discussions. Thank you for that. Based on the shloka actually which we are discussing today, we can see that we can learn the answer to politics. Office politics is diplomacy. Diplomacy is a very, very great tool, which can actually, it can be termed as the counter politics. So you have politics in office, you have to play counter politics. Then only it will nullify. So what is counter politics? Counter politics or diplomacy you can learn from life and teachings of Lord Sri Krishna.
Yes, great point, Manoranjan ji. Counter politics, yes. As if we can actually do that with the good intentions and not becoming manipulative or shrewd just for the sake of it, I think it's a good. It's a smart strategy. Being street smart is good, as long as it doesn't become our nature to keep rising at the expense of somebody else. Great point. Thank you. Okay, few more hands are raised. Yes.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, it is not related to office politics, but related to Karm Yog aspects that we discussed, which in Swamiji's video was. So I just thought I'll mention this point. This is like about things that we otherwise imagine we cannot do. When they get done through us, I feel it's a wonderful opportunity for us to realize the manifestation of God happening in front of us.
Yes.
So yeah, that is like energizer line. We are not the doer. So along those lines, I just thought I'll bring this up. And one more thing was, which is again not related to any of this, but what Pallavi ji mentioned, I just wanted to reiterate this, that this sadhana shivir or the retreat that's going on in India right now, it is free of cost and each one of us can attend it online. There is a link that Pallavi ji has shared, and trust me, it is a wonderful retreat. Like the lectures by Swamiji I was like amazed to hear that. It was like a big treat. So any of you, if can and are interested, please attend to it. And I think there'll be a lecture at 10:30 after this class. So
yes, we have to wrap it up before that lecture. So yes, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. And it's completely free, so do avail that opportunity. And his Hindi lectures are an audio treat, very, very nice. So do check it out and you're going to relish it for sure. Okay, one more, couple of hands more. Let's quickly take those.
Thank you, Sandhya ji. Thanks. Shikha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe ji, thank you. Well, yes, I was just listening to the lecture. I've heard from 8 o'clock till 8:35. So I would like to say that yes, there are so many situations happens in our life, and sometimes we say that why me, and sometimes we just blame everything on the God. But when we realize that there can be some learning out of it, then the whole human revolution or the transformation starts happening. So for me also, there were many situations, but during COVID, I think my situation was something which was out of control. Sometimes it happens that we have the control over the situation, but this time during COVID time, it was not like that. So at that time, what I did is I completely surrendered myself to God, and I started participating more on in spiritual activities, and I started chanting more. I started attending more JK Yoga lectures as well, and tried transforming myself instead of cribbing about certain situations. And then I've seen that, after maybe a year or something, I've seen that how my life has transformed. It was just a learning for me, that time it was just there because God wanted me to learn something out of it, to become a better person. It was not against me, the situation and everything, all the people and whatever was happening at that time. It was nothing was against me. It was not anybody's fault. It was coming from God. Everything was coming from God. And thankfully, I feel so good that I started having I had that faith in God that it's okay, whatever is coming, I am gonna they're gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel. And that is how I developed faith. And now I look back, though I feel that how come I have gone through all of it, but then yes, it was because of the God, and everything was happening from the God. And then I was also able to cope up with that because of the God. So yeah, the whole credit goes to God.
Beautiful, great mindset. And that's why you start off with this mindset, why me? And then a devotee says, why not me? So, you start understanding the bigger picture around it. And every situation is an opportunity to grow from within. And it's said that Swamiji says that if you make inner growth as your top priority in life, then you will really not complain about anything. Even the adverse situations become a greater opportunity for inner growth. So beautiful point and great realization, Shika, because COVID has, I've always keep on saying, it had a silver lining, and it has brought the world closer online. And it is when you cannot go outside, start going inside. And a lot of people have actually changed their lives during the course of COVID by investing in things that are going to hold them in good stead in times to come, like taking up to spirituality and adding that dimension. So thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Yes, Pallavi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shikha ji. Nitin ji, I'll go ahead and take some questions from the chat.
Yeah. We'll take some questions and then we'll have to wrap up today.
Yes.
I think there's a moon deadline going on, so a lot of time pressure right now.
Leela ji has asked, while listening to you, it sounds simple, Nitin ji, but real-time scenario, I first react rather than stop, think and respond. Rather than stop, think and respond. One quick tip for me, please.
I don't know. I mean, myself trying to get better at this, but yeah, there's a difference between reaction and response, right? Mostly we react, but I think we spoke about it in anger management. We'll revisit that topic. It's again the mindfulness, your self-awareness. If you start increasing, you will realize that when you start getting into amber zone, See, even with the traffic lights, it doesn't go from red to green or green to red. There is an amber zone in between. So when you start increasing your awareness, you will start realizing, something has started happening. Now it's going to blow up after a while. So when that something starts happening, then you arrest it. Okay, let me take a walk, had some water, go out, take a stroll or do something, because otherwise it becomes a ticking time bomb. So I think with awareness, with mindfulness, and by contemplating on right kind of knowledge, and then cleaning our antakaran is the key to everything. That is the only way. If you're struggling with anger issues, and focus on your antakaran shuddhi, more roop dhyan, thinking about God, it will diminish. If you have less joy in life, antakaran. If you want to be more successful in life, antakaran or your mind, more joy, your focus is that antakaran, mind, everything is related to our mind only. So we just have to continue to invest in our mind with proper knowledge, mind and intellect, and then your joy factor, your anger, your ability to respond as opposed to reacting, all that stuff will start increasing. So that is the only capsule, no other capsule, no other medicine around it. And self-awareness and increasing and investing on cleaning our mind, basically. Our dirty mind is responsible for most of these afflictions that we deal with. So.
Wow, beautiful explanation. Beautiful, Nitinji. So that's what it comes to: focus on yourself, focus on improving.
Focus on ourselves. We cannot blame the situation, circumstances around us. That is an easy way out for us to justify us, right? Our mind and intellect. We just focus on ourselves, and the more clearer our mind, the more we have invested in cleansing our mind, the better we'll feel from a joy standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, from a clarity standpoint, from an anger management standpoint, from a peace standpoint. Everything is a natural byproduct of it. One thing you have to do, cleanse your antakaran by investing your time, thoughts, energies, emotions in God. Meditating on God, thinking about God, listening about God, talking about God. Beautiful. Basically, there's no plan B, plan C or plan D for that matter. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. Some people think, no, we are enjoying our lives right now, we'll come back to it later. Okay, if you have to come back later, why not now? Why to waste time?
Yes. Thank you, Nitinji. Great point. One more quick thing I wanted to add when we are talking about how can I take control of it. One point I thought about it, that we should try to cut ourselves from the gossip mongers and the people who are creating negativity inside the workplace.
Yes.
Especially there are those people who are always trying to be negative and trying to take your focus out of work and pull you also in the negativity. We try to stay away from kusangati.
Very true. Great point. And there'll be a lot of people who are disgruntled themselves, but because they can't do, they want to shoot using your shoulder, right? Because you are disgruntled, they hope that you will do something revolutionary for them. And those kind of talks, they don't lead anywhere. Great point. We should avoid kusang even at workplace, because those negative energies will not take us far.
Thank you. Yeah. Kumarji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Kumarji. Maybe the last one for the day.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. So I have mentioned this story about it. Like, I used to consider, being a program manager. All my projects were like my babies. So I used to kind of hurt in case if they were not doing well, elate when they were doing well and all that stuff. And Swamiji kept on saying, right, about all these desires, happiness, attachment, all those things. I kept on hearing it, but never hit me. But suddenly one day, fortunately, it hit me that I was being attached to my work. And it was not my work, it was God's work, and I was just doing it. So once I kind of realized that, and once you realize that, God again gives some tests, right? So I always, when my project go from green to amber, I used to kind of shudder. So this project went to amber, and I'm like, it's okay. The one good thing was I could think of it very clearly, with clarity, what to do next, because I was no longer attached to it. Then it went, God said, no, that test is not over. I'm moving it to red. And I'm like, okay, so what do we do next? And I was amazed. The knowledge came to help me out so well. And later on, when I explained this to my manager, saying, "Hey, this is what happened. This is what I did," she said, "Fantastic. That's better than what anyone could have done." And then I realized it's all Bhagavad Gita, right? It's teachings. If you can really implement it, nothing like it. So that's one thing. Of course, I just want to tell people who have not listened to that. But the other thing is, of late, I'm learning there are good things in almost every people. And we need to, kind of glean it, especially in the office, right? So, and not get, some people get angry and upset, just not get attached to them, but learn from, even some people whom we think, hey, this guy's not doing any good, there's still something good in them to learn from. So this is something new that I learned. And also, this comes out of course, our knowledge as well as our experience, that there is some interval between something coming to us and something for us to respond. So we should make very good use of it. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Amarji. Great points. Very true. And there's a hierarchy, like we should see divinity in everybody. That's the topmost hierarchy. And then the second one is, if you don't see divinity, then, at least see good in others. And if you can't even do that, then at least don't see bad in others. So this is a hierarchy we can employ when we people. All right. Today we'll have to end it up on time now. I'm getting a lot of messages and some SOS messages at this point. I saw some remote Karwa Chauth being conducted in the session itself. So, we'll have to wrap up the session. Thank you, everybody. We'll have to skip the devotional segment today, but we'll catch up tomorrow. And wish you a very happy Karwa Chauth and a great rest of your evening. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. So Radhe Radhe, have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody. And please fill up the feedback tracker if you have not so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nitinji, for such an awesome session. There are some questions that people have asked, so we request that please put that in. Yes, I have captured some of the screenshots. I'll share with you, Nitinji. But if possible, please put that in feedback tracker, and so that it can also reach you.
You share it also and put it in the feedback tracker. I'll get back on those. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, everyone. Stay blessed. Have a happy. Have good night. Stay blessed. Happy Karwa Chauth one more time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Radhe Radhe. Good night.